Greetings, this is Craddock. This video we're going to discuss the Season 17 Wizard Starter builds. We're going to discuss gearing strategy as well as touch upon the progression of your wizard day 1 of the season. Now Season 17 is a little bit different, being it that this is the Season of Nightmares, where you will be getting the Legacy of Nightmares set bonus for free. You won't have to equip the rings for the set. This is big because you'll be able to run potentially a Legacy of Nightmares build early at season start. And while Firebirds as a Hadrig's starter this season is a fair start, and it can clear Torment 8 fairly effectively after completing the 6-piece, I'm not going to recommend going after the Firebird set this season. With the Legacy of Nightmares, it will simply be more efficient to gear up a Frozen Orb build. Why Legacy of Nightmares Frozen Orb? Well, this build, it's scalable and configurable with high base multipliers. It can clear quickly, as well as scale up past the clear potential of a Firebird's starter build. It's simply a quicker clear. LoN FO simply clears quicker than Firebirds, even if it's not able to challenge as high of a difficulty initially after acquisition. There's also no need to perform the seasonal journey. This is huge. You don't have to go after all those bounties in adventure mode, going after all those, killing all those bosses, so that you can just get killing the Key Wardens in Torment 4 is one of the hardest things, right? So all of those things you don't have to do. You can skip the seasonal journey completely. Time investment in this sense is minimized, and it can then be put into Nephilim Rifting and Greater Rifting for seeking out more ancient legendary items. Another nice thing is that since we're not completing the Hadrix, you can save the Hadrix for another class or game type, such as hardcore if you're playing softcore. There are a few downsides, however, of going a Legacy of Nightmares build. There's the potential, extreme potential, for ancient starvation, meaning that it takes a long time to find ancient legendary items for whatever reason, and bad RNG can really hurt you in this sense. On the PTR I tested finding legendary items, and it wasn't until my 50th legendary that I got an ancient item. And then of course right after that I got 2 more. But that's just how it is. I mean, sometimes it's going to take an extremely long time to get these ancient legendaries, and other times you will get it first thing in the season and get very lucky. Another thing to touch upon here, if you are not as lucky at season start, usually you will find an unstable scepter while leveling, but if you don't, and in addition to that, if you're having trouble rolling blood shards and getting that triumvirate early on, since these are both multiplier items for the build, not having these as early can delay your progression quite a bit as well. So, now that we've discussed the pros and cons, I want to mention first of all that next season it looks like the Challenge Rift bag that you get after completing the Challenge Rift, do save your Challenge Rift for after the season starts, because you want to complete it on a seasonal character. That way you can claim it on a seasonal character. Second thing is, it looks like from what my testing on the PTR that the Challenge Rift bag now gives higher reward as compared to past seasons. But I noted 35 Death's Breath for the bounty materials, and then a slew of other normal materials. Everything else seemed about the same, so it's still 475 blood shards, still about 5.1 million, I believe, gold. So everything else seemed about the same, but having those extra Death's Breath is quite a change from past seasons, because this means now that you can cube more items at season start than you would have been able to in past seasons, which is a huge benefit here. Now, moving on to the plan of attack. My recommendation for blood shards this season is to go and roll your blood shards Wait until you are level 20 at least level 20. But, you know, there's a range here. You can be between 20 and 30, and it works just the same if you roll on blood shards at Kadala on belts. So you want to get those belts. And what we're hoping to get here is either the Shema Del Seer or the Gold Wrap. Hopefully both, if you're lucky enough. The drop rate of these two items is about 53%, considering you spend all of your blood shards. So you're more likely to get only one of these two, but either of them will help tremendously when going into this season of LoN. Shema Del Seer pairs best with the Aetherwalker, so you'll need that item more later on. It wasn't quite as necessary earlier on in the season, but after you acquire that Aetherwalker, Shema Del Seer becomes extremely important to have. Gold Wrap, on the other hand, was usable almost immediately because this gives you extra toughness, even if you don't have the Boon of the Hoarder. That's fine. The Gold Wrap will still give you extra toughness and allow you to push at least one extra GR in difficulty, which is actually quite huge here. After level 70, you're going to want to keep an eye out for ancient legendary items to supplement your Legacy of Nightmares bonus, both offensively and defensively. Even with no ancient items, you can still run the Frozen Orb items without a set. My recommendation is to do this and just grind out rifts at about T5 or T6 until you get an ancient legendary. After you hit your level 70, you're going to roll blood shards on sources. This is going to get you the items Triumvirate, which is one of our multiplier items, and then Chantoto's Force, which is the Chantoto set source, which is going to be important later on for your Veer Cold Chantoto build that we will eventually transition to. At the same time, after you hit 70, you're going to want to dedicate most all of your Death's Breath to upgrading rare wands. This is very important because you want the items Aetherwalker for increased mobility, Chantoto's Will, again for helping you out with that Veer Cold Chantoto build later on. And then if you haven't found an Unstable Scepter for whatever reason, the upgrade rare with the wand will get you the Unstable Scepter as well. Hopefully at this point you will have found at least one ancient item, and now you can use the combination of Unstable Scepter, Triumvirate, Shema Del Seer, and Aetherwalker to run Torment 8 very effectively. And I have a build that shows both T5 and without Aetherwalker and Shame, and then T8 without Aetherwalker and Shame, and then T8 with the Aetherwalker and Shame. It's a nice increase, especially for less dense rifts, to have the mobility of the Aetherwalker available. If you find additional ancient items, of course you're going to want to try and include these in the build, as they will increase the clear potential by about 1.5 torment levels per ancient. That's just a general estimate. Karini, Halo of Karini, is a very nice addition to this Legacy of Nightmares Frozen Orb setup, and should allow you to clear about 1 to 2 torment levels higher. I would not seek it out, but if you happen to find it, that's very beneficial. Use the Legacy of Nightmares Frozen Orb to farm up the Veer Cold Chantoto build, listed in the priority order: Veer's Chantoto's Resolve, Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, Fazula, Swami, Nemesis Bracer, Avarice Band, and the Endless Walk set, both the necklace and the ring. Assuming you've acquired the Veer and Chantoto sets, I'd focus on upgrading rare rings at that point, and gambling blood shards on belt, helm, and bracer to get the appropriate items. After you've acquired that basic set of items, you can then switch from your LoN Frozen Orb build into a Veer Cold Chantoto build as soon as reasonably possible. I'd definitely try to get the Zodiac, the Fazula, and the Swami, and the Nemesis Bracer before switching, as your Frozen Orb setup will still be fairly efficient at getting Death's Breath and keys at that point in the season. Anyways, Endless Walk and Avarice Band would not be 100% required for that build initially, so you can acquire those later as you find them. Anyways, this is my recommendation. Hope you've enjoyed this overview for the Season 17 start. There are other tips and tricks available from past seasons for gearing up in season. I recommend you check those out with other YouTubers potentially. And I will roll some footage now to preview both the Torment 5 and Torment 8 builds without Aetherwalker, and then the Torment 8 build with Aetherwalker for the Legacy of Nightmares Frozen Orb setup. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you.